Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that. And also, if there is any lag to this video, anything like that at all, sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision 2022 related video here on my channel. As I'm recording this video, right now it is Monday the 16th of May 2022, and last Saturday was the grand final of the 66th edition of the Eurovision Song Contest, which took place at the Paralimpico in Turin in Italy. 25 acts for 25 nations took to the stage, and of course we now know that Ukraine triumphed for a third time, very impressive indeed considering they only debuted in 2003, with the song Stefania by Kalush Orchestra. It won very convincingly in the end with over 600 points, over 400 of which came from the public, a new record. In this video I will be reviewing the entire contest, so it's probably going to be another massive ramble from me, so make sure you're sitting comfortably. There are lots of things to get through, mainly the results, but of course there has been some fallout from this year's competition, mainly involving jury marks from the second semi-final. It has been revealed that several jury marks were excluded, and therefore an aggregate mark was created by the EBU and their voting partner instead. We don't know the exact reasons as to why yet, but it's believed some good old vote rigging was going on between certain nations, perhaps individual jury members too. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this over the coming weeks. I don't know nearly enough about it to make much of a comment at this stage, but I'm sure you've all seen the information. The EBU released a statement themselves, I think it was after the grand final too, and look, it wouldn't surprise me if there was some dodgy stuff going on between some of the juries. Azerbaijan's name has been coming up numerous times over the past 48 hours or so. It's not good, and hopefully we'll get answers soon. A lot of broadcasters have actually asked for more clarification from the EBU as to why these votes were suddenly, disposed of. And of course we did have a few technical mishaps on Saturday night, not only with some of the camera angles, again, but also mainly with the fact that we didn't see some of the spokespersons on screen. Instead, Martin Österdahl stepped in. And again, I don't think we've had a very clear reason as to why that was the case just yet. But anyway, what else is there to say besides talking about the results? The hosts, Alessandro Catalan, Laura Pausini and Mika, they were fine, a little bit cringy at times, and look, I don't know about you, but I barely pay attention to the hosts anyway, because I'm interested in the music and the results, and that's about it. Mika did perform as part of the interval act, that was fine. Laura cleared off for a while, apparently because her blood pressure was low, so she had to have that checked by doctors, but then she did return. You do not need 3 people to dish out the results anyway. Why on earth that was the case was beyond me, but there we are. And of course there were all of the issues with the stage and the sun facing the wrong way for all of the performances, besides the interval and opening acts. Dear oh dear. You also had Maneskin return to the Eurovision stage. They were great. And you also had Gigliola Cinquetti perform during the grand final with Nono Letta, one of the great winners, and of course the first Italian victory back in the 60s. That was really nice. But let's get into the main stuff now, shall we? So how this is going to work is I'm going to go through all of the songs that didn't qualify first, give you my thoughts, and really there's not much to delve into here, because I've spoken about these songs so many times now it's ridiculous, and we know these songs really, really well. It's the results that are the most interesting bit. So, with that being said, let me just tilt that a little bit better. Yes, that'll do. Okay, here we go. I've got the information in front of me. So, this time last week, the show hadn't even started, and now it's all over. In the blink of an eye, there we are. Semi-final 1 was on the 10th of May. Let's go through the songs that didn't qualify. Albania opened with Secret by Ronella Hayati. This finished 12th with 58 points. Oh dear, the first time in a while Albania did not make an appearance in the final, but if you ask me, this song considerably better than the most recent songs Albania have had, which did make the final. There we are. This was just refreshing to me because it wasn't a ballad by a woman. Instead, it was a woman with something a bit more up-tempo. Really nice. We had the revamp, that was fine. We knew it was going to be a very fierce, sexy performance, very confident. Ronella's a good performer, no doubt about it. Nice voice, and she was just having a really good time on stage. But here, it was a case of sacrificing the song for raunchy choreography. The emphasis was on the dance routine, very much so. And yes, some of the camera angles weren't particularly great. The colour scheme maybe wasn't the best either. But this song fell flat, whereas it should have been so very striking, so very energetic, and it was almost ticking a lot of the right boxes. But really, it was the choreography. You could tell, you could see that so much effort had been put into the dance routine. And that was what stuck in my head. The song itself didn't actually leave much of a lasting impression on me. And in the end, it all came across as a bit messy. So in the end, I'm not really surprised this missed out on the final at all. 12th place will come across as a disappointment though, and I would not be surprised if we go back to the good old female-driven ballads next year from Albania, or rather later this year, because of course the national final will no doubt be just after Christmas. In the split results, Albania were 14th with just 12 points from the juries, and 9th with 46 points from the public, so not a terribly convincing qualifier on public votes alone. More specifically, all 12 jury points came from Greece, and in the public half of the results, Ronella received a high mark of 12, also from Greece. So there we go. This just could have been a lot better. It's as simple as that. And what happened was, this went from being what looked like a very short qualifier to actually not making the cut at all. Unbelievable what can happen during the week of rehearsals. Song 2, Latvia, Eat Your Salad, Chitizeni, 14th place, 55 points. Not bad, but not brilliant. Latvia misses out on the final again. Lots of very similar things happening this year. Lots of things that we're very used to as Eurovision fans. And one of those things is Latvia not making the cut. This was fine. Colourful, cheeky, fun. Really not much to fault here, but this never really struck me as the sort of thing that was going to do extremely well. A lot of people started getting on board last week. After seeing the rehearsal footage, the pre-party stuff, all of that, there were a lot more fans for this particular song. And then I saw some comments online, and I'm still seeing comments online, where people are saying, I cannot believe Latvia didn't go through. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe it's just because it wasn't that good. You know, if this had made the final, it probably wouldn't have done that well. It's not a song that you can take terribly seriously, we've always known that. Taking a look at the split results, Latvia actually did better with the juries, which is interesting because in the pre-contest Euro jury poll, or whatever it's called, Latvia did quite well there as well. 39 points, 11th with the juries, 15th, 16 points from the public. So maybe this was a case of people hyping it up a bit too much and then nobody really votes for it. Looking more specifically, the Portuguese jury gave this 12. Wow, of all the countries, Portugal thinks Eat Your Salad was the best of the night. And in the public half of the results, Lithuania gave Latvia 10. That was the highest mark there. Yeah, my opinion on this song hasn't really changed. We then move to song 5, Slovenia, LPS with Disco. The song that has finished last overall in this year's competition, 17th with 15 points. I mean, this was probably never going to qualify anyway. Young band, quite a static performance, big disco ball. I like this song more than I did, absolutely. And it was in their own language, which is nice. But yes, there wasn't quite enough momentum with this track. And it finished last with 15 points, as I just said. 7 from the juries and 16th place, last with 8 points from the public. Looking more specifically, a high mark of 5 from the Croatian jury and all 8 points from the public, came from Croatia. Yeah, this didn't stand out enough. You know, I liked what they were wearing, the vocals weren't bad, some of the camera angles were pretty decent, but on the whole, this wasn't at the level it really needed to be, I guess. And Slovenia, yeah, I haven't really gone through this about what I would like to see countries do next year. Slovenia had, of course, once again, their pre-national final round EMA Fresh, and all of the acts from that did make the grand final itself of EMA, and LPS were one of them. So keep that format, but maybe shorten it, because clearly the Slovenian public and the Slovenian jury that voted were liking these songs that came through that EMA Fresh round. So why weren't they automatically in the final in the first place if they're going to do well? It's about spotting that quality early on and just giving them a slot in the final early on, if you see what I mean. As for Latvia, wow. I mean, first of all, you've got to send the right song. So many times in the past, Latvia has clearly sent the wrong song, in my personal opinion. You've got to send something quite competitive next year. Aminata is a bit of a good luck charm. 2016 she wrote the song, 2015 she sang the song. Last year she co-wrote the song, that came last admittedly. But Aminata is a bit of a good luck charm. You had a wild card round with Supernova this year, and most of the songs involved in that were better than the songs that were automatically in the final. So again, it's about spotting that quality early on and sticking it in the final right away, rather than having this pre-qualification crap. As for Albania, they may as well stick to the tried and tested format, which of course they will, but for heaven's sake, do not send a female-driven ballad next year. Moving on then, my god, there probably won't be timestamps for this in the comments below because I am flitting backwards and forwards. Bulgaria, Song 7, Intelligent Music Project Intention, 16th place, 29 points, so not last. This never really stood much of a chance. The song was panned upon its release. And I think why this song flopped a little bit is because it felt very rushed. The song was released very early on in this Eurovision season. They could have gone with something much better. Polygenova apparently wants to come back for 2023. That would be interesting. Her third attempt, of course. Oof, I'm running out of breath here, but I'm trying to get through it quite quickly because I don't want to ramble too much. Anyway, rock song, looked good, sounded pretty good, but nobody was really on board with this. As such, 29 points. In the split results, 14th with 18 points from the public, 15th with 11 points from the juries. More specifically, 10 points from the Greek jury. Fair enough. And 12 points from the Albanian public. Unbelievable. There you are. Every year I am baffled by some of these scores. Moving on, Croatia, Song 11, Guilty Pleasure, Mia Dimsic, with a verse in Croatian. 11th place, yet again, in the first semi-final. 75 points. Considering that I thought this would be last with the public, maybe last overall, 11th place, not a million miles away from qualifying, really isn't that bad. The performance was very simple. Didn't really think the dress suited Mia, but still a beautiful woman. The vocals really great. Bit of dancing, bit of a story going on stage. Okay. Not sure that totally worked, but fine. It needed something extra to make the song stand out a little bit more. Very cutesy, very twee, very pleasant to listen to. I've always liked it. Maybe a bit of a guilty pleasure for a lot of other people because, you know, not disgraced whatsoever. Looking at the split results, Croatia were 12th with the public, 10th with the juries. A high mark of 8 from the Greek and Slovenian juries, and a high mark of 12 from the Slovenian public. So clearly they love sort of Croatian Taylor Swift type stuff. So there we go. Nice song, and I'm glad it wasn't disgraced. Moving on, Denmark, Song 12, finished 13th, 55 points. The Show by Reddy. A lot to like here. Great vocals, nice energy, very colourful, bit of pyro, everything looking really good. So why didn't this make the cut? Probably because there were just better songs on the night. And this never really had any buzz for it whatsoever. Even in DMGP, when the songs were released, this was not one of the favourites really. Then this won DMGP, nobody spoke about it. Then at the rehearsals, nobody was talking about it. And last Tuesday, barely anybody gave this song the time of day. I've always liked it. It's very simple stuff, nothing we haven't heard before. But not bad at all. In the split results, Denmark thankfully weren't last, 13th place with the public and 12th with the juries, a high mark of 6 from the Latvian jury and a high mark of 6 from the Icelandic public. So there we go. I should say, Bulgaria, better internal choice next year. Polly and Christian Kostov duo, maybe. Croatia, stick with Dora, or internally select Mia Nigovic. And Denmark, I don't know, Denmark, we never really get a lot of returning names to DNGP. So, funnily enough, I'd like to see a few familiar names back in contention. Moving on then, the last song that didn't qualify from semi-final one, Austria. Wow, if you had told me 2 months ago this would be a non-qualifier and Moldova would finish second with the public in the grand final, I would have had a right old giggle. But that's exactly what's happened. Lumix featuring Pia Maria with Halo. First things first, Pia Maria is great. Love her hair. Absolutely fantastic. Only 18, doing a pretty good job. Lumix behind his deck. He did actually shout a few things during this performance. Ring of lights, pyro, steam, flames, all of that stuff. It looked good. Very dark though. The backdrop. Pitch black. What was all that about? And that was the same for quite a few performances this year as well. It really wasn't used terribly well. Anyway, this song was so popular upon release, and then that momentum just totally went down the hill, didn't it? The pre-parties, people were commenting on her vocals. Even when the song was released, the studio cut, people were saying, oh, I don't think this will be very good live. And yes, it was a bit shaky. Turns out that Pia Maria was suffering from long COVID, so her vocals were damaged a little bit. But last Tuesday, I actually really enjoyed this. I really did. I just thought it was a good atmosphere. I liked the way it looked on the whole. Good stuff. So it didn't go through. 15th place, 42 points. And for some reason, DJs just don't seem to do very well at Eurovision at all. Looking at the split results, last with the juries and 11th with the public. So this never really stood much of a chance anyway. In terms of the specifics, a high mark of 3 from the Italian jury and a high mark of 5 from the Armenian public. There we go. Deserved a bit better, but there we are. Moving into semi-final 2 last Thursday, that was the 12th of May. Song 2 Israel, Michael Ben David with I Am, 13th place, 61 points. Not one of Israel's best. Really not one of Israel's best. When you look at the songs they had in the X Factor Israel, their national final thing that they had a few months ago, was this the best choice? No, it wasn't. Not if you ask me, but there we are. Maybe Israel wouldn't have qualified with any of the other songs either. I don't know. When I saw this, I thought this is going through, and I did predict Israel to make the cut. Just. Very confident performer, very charismatic, great vocals, all in white, dancers all in white, bopping about, lights behind them, very slick. I thought this is going through, there'll be a lot of love for Israel this year. But no. And I have to say I'm quite glad this didn't go through, because I don't think it's a particularly strong song, even if the performance was pretty decent. Looking at the split results, Israel were 11th with the juries and 13th with the public. More specifically, Michael received a high mark of 10 from the Australian jury. Okay, maybe the Australian jury was quite camp, I don't know. And then the public, 10 from Azerbaijan, 10 from Georgia. Yeah, I don't like the song any more than I did a couple of weeks ago, but that performance was pretty fine. Obviously, there was all of that stuff in the green room where he was trying to butt in. That was quite uncomfortable. Maybe that did not work in his favour whatsoever. But there we are. Georgia, Song 5. Yet again, another NQ. As I was saying earlier, lots of familiar results this year, and one of them being Georgia not making the cut. No final since 2016. Circus Mirkus with Lock Me In. 18th place. Last for a second semi-final in a row. Oh dear. 22 points. This wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. No momentum though. No buzz. Which is strange because you would have thought there would have been some buzz for this particular track because it was so striking. So steampunk-esque. A little bit on the psychedelic side. Flowers in the guy's beard. The long jacket. Really very different. A little bit on the repetitive side, absolutely. This just didn't stand out enough, but it should have done. There we are. Looking at the split results, Georgia were 15th with the juries, 17th with the public. High marks of 5 from the Czech jury and a high mark of 5 from the Israeli public. Not much else to say about it. Moving on, Malta Song 6. Well, interestingly, this year, Malta did not have much jury support. Now, was that because of this jury rigging? I wonder. I really don't know. Let's not speculate. But Emma Muscat, young singer, beautiful singer, quite experienced given her age, with I Am What I Am, straight out of the Melfest Reject book. I've always liked this. I really have always liked this, and I made that clear in previous videos. Cliched as all hell, very safe performance, very twee, very sweet, maybe too sickly sweet for some. There she was on this plinth, piano, not really playing it, then she stood on top of the piano, then she came around to the B stage, dancers, but the emphasis was on Emma. This was really good. Vocally, maybe not quite on the money, but still not dreadful by any stretch of the imagination. 16th place, 47 points. Oh boy, what a downgrade from Chameleon and also Je Me Casse. Next year, X Factor Malta, bring it back maybe? Maybe don't go for a Melfest Reject, which I think this song was. Yeah, I mean, Malta's capable of bringing the goods. This year it just wasn't quite hitting the mark. And it's a shame because Emma is a pretty big star. She just deserved a better song perhaps. Maybe she'll come back at some point. I don't know. In the split results, Malta 12th with the juries, 15th with the public. And that's not bad because we've had Christabel last with the public, Claudia Faniello last with the public, Destiny and Michaela didn't do terribly well with the public either. So yes, 20 points is low, but at least it's not last. More specifically, a high mark of 7 from the Swedish jury. Well, like I said, straight out of the Swedish songbook. My apologies. And then from the public, a high mark of 3 from various different countries. Nothing from the UK. Interesting. But that's Malta. There we go. Very sweet, but alas, no final. I should say, going back to semi-final 1, Austria may as well stick with internal. Israel, stick with what they've got, but send the right song next time. Georgia, I really don't know. Maybe go with somebody you've had before. And Malta, maybe think about X Factor Malta again. San Marino, next song 7. Well, there was a huge amount of buzz surrounding this song and the performance. The rehearsal footage came out. People wet themselves with excitement. Achille Lauro, big star. Italian, of course, with Stripper. 14th place, 50 points. Not a disgrace whatsoever. Now, I believe San Marino are keeping their national final format. Great, but shorten it, because my God, it went on forever. And with Achille Lauro, a big star who had been at Sanremo earlier this year as well. The fact that he wanted to do this is a good sign. Maybe more Sanremo acts will want to represent San Marino in the future, you never know. This was throwing everything at the performance. Musicians in cages, smoke machine, pyro, steam, riding on the Red Bull, kissing another guy, just a little bit of everything. It was manic stuff, but it sort of all came together relatively well. Saying that, the performance was better than the song. And I think that's perhaps why this did not make the cut. A lot of people were very upset, but you know, maybe it wasn't that incredible as you thought it was. I don't know. Looking at the split results, San Marino finished 13th with the juries and 12th with the public. And more specifically, the Belgian jury, this is one of the most bizarre things of the entire contest. The Belgian jury gave this song 12 points. Everybody else, Sweden, 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 Sweden. Pretty much. Belgium, San Marino. Did they all vote upside down? It's a real anomaly. A real anomaly. I don't get that at all. Anyway, a high mark of 8 from the Maltese public. So there we go. Not bad at all. It was quite the spectacle, but there we are. Cyprus. Oh boy. Bit like Austria, this one. Momentum. Absolutely dead and buried. Andromachi with Ella. Beautiful woman. Seashell structure with the waves either side. This was too dark. Even with the projections on the seashell. Too damn dark. This should have been a lot more colourful, a lot more summery. There should have been more movement. Vocals were fine, but everything else not really working as it should have been. Not executed in a strong enough manner. 12th place, 63 points. The first time in years Cyprus did not make the cut. But this is a good song, no doubt about it. Sadly, I can now see Cyprus once again going down the pop-bop route. We will see next year, of course. Anyway, split results. Last with the juries. That really does surprise me a little bit. 9th with the public. A high mark of 4 from the Irish jury, and a high mark of 12 from the Azerbaijani public. There we go. Moving on. Can't say much else about Cyprus. It just wasn't strong enough. Ireland, song 10. This was strong enough. This was taking a song that didn't really have much of a hope, perhaps, and just giving it a right kick up the backside. Looking at the national final performance, where Brooke's in her pyjamas, you would have thought, no way is this going through. But then she brought it. Blue outfit, dancers, emphasis very much on Brooke, swirling lights, pyro, really sassy, catchy, crowd on board. Loads of people were really wanting this to go through, including myself. Last Thursday night, I had the Irish flag behind me. Instead, 15th place, 47 points. At least it's not last. This was the right song for Ireland as well. Looking at the split results, she was, oh, there's a shock, absolutely crippled by the jury mark. 16th place, just 12 points. 11th with the public. More specifically, a high mark of 6 from the Australian jury, and a high mark of 12 from the good old British public. There we are. Not giving Poland 12. My goodness, times are changing. But there we are. I really enjoyed the Irish performance. I thought it was really strong and vocally the best she's ever sounded. But alas, not to be. I forgot to mention again, haven't I? Cyprus, stick internal, and maybe send something fully in Greek next time. I don't know. Because Ella was not a bad song. The staging was just a little bit of a letdown. Ireland, send something in Irish. I dare you. Anyway, North Macedonia, song 11. Well, 11th place. I don't think anybody saw that coming. 76 points for Circles by Andrea. Lovely song, but my God, I can barely talk about it because there was nothing to this. Black outfit, that's about it. Great vocals, there's nothing. I've got nothing. This was so plain. But it's an alright song. Can't believe this finished 11th though, to be honest with you. But there we are. Very impressive. And I think that will give Macedonia some heart to keep fighting, to keep trying to get into the final year after year. Of course, the broadcaster had a hissy fit when Andrea threw the Macedonian flag. She didn't throw it. She placed it to one side pretty much. But they said, oh, you can't be doing that. No, you better apologise. Oh, that's it. We might withdraw next year. I'm serious. If you haven't seen this, the Macedonian broadcaster might withdraw next year over the negativity surrounding this event. To which I say, grow a pair. Just get on with it, for crying out loud. You finished 11th, for crying out loud. The negativity didn't damage you that much. Looking at the split results, 10th with the juries, 16th with the public. The German jury thought this was the best song of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Another anomaly. Germany, who finished last in the final again with a really safe song, their jury gave 12 to a really safe song. Speaks volumes, I think. And as for the public, a high mark of 10 from Montenegro. Moving on to the last semi-finalist that didn't go through, Montenegro. What a shame, really, because this was one of their strongest efforts, and yet it finished nowhere. 17th place, 33 points for Breathe by Vladana. Blue dress, light up disc on the back, light up dress as well. Really simply executed, and a little bit on the forgettable side. And the vocals, yeah, they were good. Maybe a bit shouty towards the end. But this was fine. It really was fine. But nobody gravitated towards it. No momentum, no buzz, nobody really talking about the song. What a shame. 17th with the juries, that's quite low actually. 14th with the public. Specifically, a high mark of 7 from the Serbian jury and a high mark of 12 from, you guessed it, the Serbian public. So, let's rattle through this. The grand final. Ridiculousness everywhere you look. Opening the show last Saturday, Czech Republic. Closing the second semi-final, opening the final. It's happened plenty of times in the past. We Are Domi, lights off. Thought this was great. Vocally stronger in the semi-final. I think the lead singer had a couple of issues on the day, but still very good. Lights all over the place. The crowd really up for it. What a great opener to the show. Damaged by the running order. This has happened before. Lake Malawi, third in the running order. did crap with the public. 2016, Gabriela Gunchikova, second in the running order, 0 from the public. This year, Czech Republic, first in the running order, 5 from the public. Absolute shite. This deserved so much more. It really, really did. This song grew on me a lot over the Eurovision season. I thought the national final format was pretty decent. Montenegro, by the way, they may as well stick with internal. But yes, the national final format was good for the Czechs. This was perhaps the right winner in the end. I really liked it. Really good. Got the crowd fired up and brilliant atmosphere. I watched a video that somebody filmed from inside the arena during the second semi-final, I think it was. What a spectacle. Really fantastic stuff. 38 points in the end, 22nd place. Looking at the semi-final, and I've got to get through this quickly, the Czechs were 4th overall, 5th with the jury, 3rd with the public. And then they dished out 5 in the final. Make that one up. A high mark of 10... Actually, no, forget the semi-finals. Let's just look at the final. That's what matters the most. A high mark of 7 from the Irish jury and a high mark of 5, all 5, came from North Macedonia's public. Deary, deary me. There you go. 19th with the jury, 22nd with the public. Song 2, another up-tempo number now, Romania, Shamame by Wursh. This was really good. I've seen the performance back, and it's grown on me a little bit. It was really nicely done. Very confident. He was in that sort of red frilly top, tight black trousers, topless guys pretty much, dancers, female dancers in the red dresses, and then he pulls off that red outfit and he's got this sort of tight black thing underneath, shimmying about, very confidently done. Vocals weren't bad, very catchy, lyrics on the screen. A success, Romania being back in the final. 18th place, 65 points. In the semi-final, Romania were 9th overall, 5th with the public, 14th with the jury, and then in the final, Romania were 21st with the jury and 13th with the public, 18th overall. He had a high mark of 7 from the Greek jury and a high mark of 10 from the Moldovan and Spanish public. There we go. I had a feeling Spain would really like it. Not much else to say. A bit of a grower. Song 3, Portugal, not damaged by the running order whatsoever. The juries really liked this, as I thought they would. Really intimate, couple of wide shots, including that bad static wide shot from the side of the arena. Yeah, that wasn't great. We saw that way too many times. But this was lovely. Maro with Saudade Saudade. And this finished 9th, 207 points. Really good, considering last year's result as well. And Portugal now must be feeling pretty confident that they are turning into perhaps regular finalists, which is great. And they're always true to themselves. Also great. I really enjoyed this. I did think the performance at Festival de Canchão was maybe a bit better, but I liked the fact that she was there with her girls in this circle, bit of a smoke machine thing going on. Really, really lovely. What a shame it was so early on, though. Anyway, still a good result. In the semi-final, Portugal finished 4th with the juries and 6th with the public. And in the grand final, Portugal were 5th. That's really good. Not many people are talking about that. 5th with the juries and 15th, which is also not bad, with the public. In the specifics, a high mark of 10 from the Ukrainian jury, the Norwegian jury, the Croatian jury and the Austrian jury, and from the public a high mark of 7 from Switzerland and Lithuania. So well spread across Europe. Very nice indeed. I really enjoyed it. Moving on to Song 4, Finland. Greta Thunberg meets Pennywise. The Rasmus with Jezebel. Glad this made the cut because I was a bit nervous. A rock song on early. I thought it was maybe the best vocally of the entire Eurovision season. Red and black colour scheme. Obviously he was wearing that massive coat and then he threw it to one side later on. All of the black balloons. Strobe lights. Yeah, really good. Really lovely stuff. But I never expected this to do terribly well. 21st place, 38 points. In the semi-final, Finland went through in 7th. 8th with the juries. 6th with the public. And then in the final, 22nd with the juries. 16th with the public. More specifically, a high mark of 6 from the Serbian jury. Only 3 juries gave Finland anything. And then in the public half of the results, 8 from Estonia. The UK gave the Rasmus nothing. Oh dearie me. Anyway, there we go. Next year, I'd like to see something that isn't rock from Finland. And from Portugal, something very intimate again. And from Romania, I don't really know. Moving on, doesn't really matter. Switzerland, Song 5, Marius Bear, Boys Do Cry. As I thought, a jury favourite, and the public said, no thank you. 17th place, 78 points. I actually thought the performance on Saturday was better than his performance in the first semi-final. Really sweet, loved the projections. That was a nice touch. The projection on his face. He sang in a higher key at one point, I think, as well. It was very gloomy, but quite nicely done. And I thought, yeah, this is going to get a lot of love from the juries and barely anything from the public. And that's what happened. In the semi-final, he went through in 9th place, 5th with the juries, 16th out of 17, 11 points from the public. Ouch. And then in the final, he was 12th with the juries, last with nothing. Very harsh, but there we are, 25th with the public. So no point looking at the public marks because he got diddly squat. But the juries, a high mark of 10 from the Dutch jury, the first one to announce their points. Yes, Switzerland, I think, next year I'd like to see them send a band, maybe. Maybe a song in French again, I don't really know. But yeah, it was quite clear to me, and I'm sure to you as well this year, that the Swiss entry was going to do better with those juries rather than the public. The public were probably bored to tears, which is a shame. Anyway, the next song to talk about is France. What happened here? Fulen by Alvan Anderhez. 24th place, 17 points. What crap. I thought this was going to do so much better. In Breton, energetic, sort of this rave energy to it. Green lights, Celtic symbols, mysterious, dark, ominous, you name it. It was all of that. So why did this flop? The running order? Maybe. Maybe no attention surrounding it. Certainly, I did not see many people really talk about the French entry being a contender. And it was nowhere in the odds as well. I don't know. It's been a while since France were right down near the bottom of the scoreboard. What a shame. Stick to the national final format though, because some quality's coming through it. But oh boy, I really am a little bit baffled by this one. Maybe you've got your own thoughts as to why France failed, which isn't just the fact that you maybe think that it's a poor song. Let's take a look at the split results. France were 24th with the jury and 19th with the public. The highest mark from the jury was 7 from Armenia, and from the public, 2 from Moldova and Serbia, of all places. Yeah, I thought this would be appreciated a bit more, but clearly not. An odd one. Next, Norway. Well, the buzz surrounding this one really slowed down, didn't it? This was never going to win, and in the end, 10th place is about right. 182 points for Subwoofer, give that wolf a banana. It was exactly as we thought it was going to be. Exactly the same pretty much as the MGP performance, just elevated a touch. There they were in their suits and the masks. If anything, I bet those guys are very glad not to be wearing them anymore. Yeah, the crowd were loving it. I enjoyed it. I certainly liked this song considerably more than I did several weeks ago. But come on, to think that this song was really being bigged up when it won MGP, I think people sort of calmed down afterwards and said, you know what? A top half finish is good enough. Looking at the split results then, Norway 6th in the semi-final, 4th with the public, and 7th with the jurors. And then in the final, Norway were 7th with the public and 17th with the juries. A high mark of 8 from the Icelandic jury and a high mark of 10 from the Icelandic, Swedish and Australian public. There we go. Not much else to say. Next year, send somebody who's not wearing a mask. Maybe. I don't know. Moving on, Armenia, Song 8. Just success that they're back in the final. Rosalind with Snap. Great vocals, innovative staging. Really gave this song a bit of elevation, a bit more memorability, and it was moving around as well. But in a really tough batch of big contenders, fan favourites, this was likely to get lost, and that's exactly what happened. 20th place, a shame. 61 points. But I've always enjoyed this. Very lovely stuff indeed. In the semi-final, Armenia were 5th. 3rd with the public. That's impressive. 6th with the juries. And then in the final, Armenia were 16th with the juries and 17th with the public. Pretty even. A high mark of 8 from the Italian jury and a high mark of 10 from the Georgian public. There we go. Moving on. Got to get through this, ladies and gentlemen. Italy. Well, from being a contender to not really standing much of a chance at all in the eyes and ears of many a Eurovision fan. Again, the momentum, I keep using that word, but the momentum faded for this one. And having seen the performance last Saturday, I thought, this is good, but it's not winning. Mahmoud, big star, obviously the runner-up in 2019. And Blanco, born in 2003, big star in the making, absolutely. Already a big star in Italy. With Brividi, shivers. This finished 6th, so another top 10 result for Italy. 268 points. Not bad. This was staged okay. It was very simple. And I think we're used to really big, very memorable performances from Italy, and this wasn't it. Next year, Annalisa. I'll be saying that until she actually does do it. Looking at the split results, Italy was 7th with the juries and 8th with the public. A high mark of 12 from the Slovenian and Albanian juries, and a high mark of 10, from the Maltese public. Next up, Spain. Oh boy. Well, sensacional, no? Chanel with Slow Mo. 3rd place. Unbelievable. And considering that most people watching Benidorm Fest did not want her to represent Spain, she's gone and got them their best results since the 1990s. 459 points. And I imagine in Spain, as has been the case in the UK a little bit, those people talking about how, oh, we're always rubbish, blah, 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 she has probably shattered those thoughts now. And there must be some real excitement about Eurovision in Spain once again. I know the TV ratings were very high. She was great. And she was always going to do well with the juries because of the performance alone. She was just selling the hell out of this. Sexy, bopping about, dancers, vibrant, the strobe effects. It really just looked so slick. And they took what they had at the national final and just sprinkled a little bit more magic on top of it, and this is what happened. 3rd place. Remarkable. And on in the first half. In the split results, Spain were 3rd with the juries, and 3rd with the public, and 3rd overall. A high mark of 12 from a whole bunch of juries, and a high mark of 12 from just one voting nation, public voting nation, and that was Greece. Was it Greece? Yes, it was. There we go. Fantastic. Yes, a generic song, but generic songs can do well in the contest every year. We move on to the Dutch. Well, I'm glad this wasn't totally forgotten about. Ace Teen with De Diepte, my second favourite of the year. Loved it. Yes, the staging wasn't much to talk about. Just those rays of light fanning out across the arena. She was on this little plinth. Lights around that. Loved her outfit. Loved the sort of power, the subtle power that this song had and how she was delivering it as well. Fantastic. 11th place, again, for the Dutch. 171 points in the semi-final. 2nd overall, 2nd with the juries, 7th with the public. And then in the final, she was 8th with the juries, 14th with the public. A high mark of 12 from the Italian jury, my apologies, and a high mark of 10 from the Belgian public. There we go. Indeed, lovely, lovely stuff. Moving on, we'll leave Ukraine. Germany next. Malik Harris, Rockstars, 25th place, 6 points, as we all saw coming. Even the German delegation probably saw this coming. And what can the Germans do? Ben Dolic would have done well a couple of years ago. Michael Schulte did well a couple of years ago. But there's more poor stuff than great stuff. The attitude must change. The quality is there. Why aren't we hearing it? You know, Germany's a big place. There's good music somewhere, isn't there? Anyway, I feel bad for Malik. He had nothing from the juries and 6 from the public, which is above the Czech Republic and Australia, which is quite interesting. Those 6 points came from Estonia, from Switzerland, and from Austria. So there you go. The performance was fine. Very relaxed in the way that it was performed. Loads of instruments on stage. Quite a smoky atmosphere. Vocals weren't bad. He was really giving it his all. But alas, not strong enough on the night. Germany, national final, but with quality songs. Netherlands, Within Temptation maybe, or Kensington, 2 bands I know. They'd be great. Spain, stick with Benidorm Fest. Moving on, Lithuania. Well, Lithuania, you know, this is great stuff. Because they're becoming, like Portugal perhaps, regular finalists. The Roop would have done well in 2020 and then did well last year. Ieva did well in 2018. Urius wasn't far away from qualifying in 2019. It was the tie-break rule, I believe. This year, Monica Liu Sentimente, 14th place. Pretty good. Stood out because of how different it was, this jazzy track. 128 points. I've never loved it, but it wasn't bad. Monica is great. Really likeable, working the camera, great stuff. She went through in 7th place from the semi-final, 9th with the juries and 5th with the public, and then in the final she was 11th with the public and 18th with the juries. A high mark of 10 from the Slovenian jury and a high mark of 10 from the Ukrainian, the Norwegian and the Latvian public. There we go. Not much else to say. Really stood out for its simplicity. Azerbaijan, whoa boy! Nadia Rustamli with Fade to Black qualified with nothing from the public. Outrageous. 16th place, 106 points. Even that is quite generous. Some of the jury marks here going Azerbaijan's way, it just felt a bit odd. Now I know Azerbaijan did very well with the juries in 2014 and the public weren't so keen. This was on the similar side. Looking at the split results for this song, which was performed well, the bleachers, the drama of it all, the guy collapsing at the end, the vocals were really good. Yes, lovely stuff, good atmosphere. He went through in 10th place, 6th with the juries, last, nothing. That is harsh, but still, the song is a bit on the forgettable side. With the public, he was 18th. And then in the final, 3 points, 23rd with the public, and 10th with the juries. Looking at the split results, he received 12 from the Greek, from the Serbian, and the Spanish jury. No. And then the public, all 3 points came from Georgia, next door neighbours. Very interesting. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this as we move forwards. I'm not surprised Azerbaijan qualified, but the fact they did quite so well with the juries and so poorly with the public is very interesting. Moving on to Belgium. How was this in the final? It wasn't good enough. That performance, he wasn't selling it to me. The song is fine. Studio cut is perfectly adequate, if you ask me. And he's a good singer, Jérémy Makiese, with Miss You. But this wasn't strong enough. It wasn't strong enough. Sort of lazy in its execution. I know that they were going for this sort of R&B relaxed vibe, but it wasn't doing anything for me. And the public mark was low. In the end, 19th place again, 64 points. In the semi-final, he went through in 8th place, 4th with the juries, and 10th with the public. And then in the final, he was 21st with the public and 13th with the juries. He received a high mark of 8 from the Serbian jury, is that? Bizarre. And then the public, he received 4 from the Netherlands and 1 from Moldova. Yes, good singer, needed a better song. Next year, go down that mysterious route again. Azerbaijan, they'll just go internal. Lithuania, keep doing what you're doing. Greece, song 17. Deserved a bit more. Amanda Georgiadi, 10 Fjord Die Together. This was great. I loved that piercing look at the camera, the melting chairs effect, the lights, that big note. Everything was looking really good here, sounding very strong indeed. Loved it. Thought it was terrific. One of the best performances this year. 8th place, 215 points. A step in the right direction once again for the Greeks. Next year, maybe they'll be coming for that win. I don't know what they're going to do, but stay internal. In the semi-final, Greece won the jury vote. Not a shock. 8th with the public, and 3rd overall. And then in the grand final, get this, 12th with the public and 6th with the juries. Greece had 57 from the public. Moldova had 239. Absolutely outrageous, if you ask me. Looking more specifically, Greece did receive 12 from a whole bunch of juries and a high mark of 12 from the Albanian public. Cyprus gave it 10, so there you go. Really good though, one of the best this year. Moving on, Iceland. I'm glad this was in the final. 3 contests in a row now with 3 very different sounding songs, and this song was in Icelandic, absolutely. Next year, something similar. Maybe a combination of what we've had in recent times. Maybe harsh sounding jazz. I don't know. Or very soft rock. This was Sister with Medhaikandi Soul, 23rd place, 20 points. As expected, really, never going to do incredibly well. But in the semi-finals, it was a qualifier with both the juries and the public. 8th with the juries, 10th with the public, 10th overall. And in the final, everybody forgot about it. 23rd with the juries, that's a shame. 18th with the public, 23rd overall. In the actual specifics, let's take a look. 6 from the Portuguese jury, and from the public, Iceland received 8 from Ukraine. Maybe there's a lot of Icelandic people in Ukraine at the moment. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on to... I thought the performance was fine, by the way, but obviously very static, quite forgettable. And then, in came crashing Moldova. Stop Shistub, who may as well just represent Moldova every year at this point, and the Advahov brothers with The Little Train. Trenjuletl, 7th place, 253 points. This was good, but it wasn't that good. It was a wake-up call. This really benefited from the running order. And, you know, there was a lot to like. It was fun, it was folky, it got you up out of your seat. Still, though, 7th place for this is very generous. Looking at the split results, this was 2nd with the public in the semi-final, and 13th with the juries, and 8th overall, and then in the final, second with the public, outrageous, and way down, 20th with the juries, a high mark of 6 from the Greek jury, I think that is, and then a high mark of 12 from 2 sets of public results. There you go. Now then, let's move on, because what else can you say about the Moldovan song? Sweden, my favourite of the year. This was great. Camera angles were working quite well. Cornelia Jacobs, Hold Me Closer, 4th place. Not criminally underrated by the public, which is great. Sweden are, you know, gearing up for that record-equaling 7th win. 438 points is a big score. In the semi-final, she trounced the opposition with the juries, won it easy, 1st place. Joint top with Serbia in the public, won the semi-final overall. And then in the final, 2nd with the juries and 6th with the juries, 4th overall. Looking at the specifics, a whole bunch of 12s from the jury and a high mark of 10 from several public votes as well. This was really great. Intimate, very, very nice, particularly the end with all of the flashing lights and the pyro. Really lovely stuff. Moving on to Australia. Well, another case here. It happened with Jessica Malboy, it happened a little bit with Montaigne, and it happened with Isaiah as well. Juries liked it, public not so much. 2 points from the public, very harsh. Sheldon Riley not the same, deserved more for his vocals. Performance was a little bit plain, but it was alright. 15th place, about right. 125 points. In the semi-final, he went through in 2nd place, 2nd with the jury, and 8th with the public. And then in the final, he was 24th, second last with the public, and way up 9th with the juries. More specifically, he had 10 from the Swedish jury, I think that is, and the public, all 2 points, came from Azerbaijan. There we go. Next year, I'd like to see Australia send something that's more accessible for the public rather than the juries. Sweden, something more authentic, maybe in Swedish. Moldova can stick to what they're doing, and Iceland I've already spoken about. Right, there's only 5 more songs to get through, so bear with me. The UK next, our boy Sam Ryder. He did a smashing job with Spaceman. It's another second place result for us, our 16th in total. 466 points. I had a feeling he would do very well with the juries because there was a lot to like. Vocals good, that massive prop that unfurled like the petals of a flower, that didn't come across as a gimmick like the trumpets last year. Other musicians on stage as well, but they weren't in the way. Smoke machine, guitar, it just felt very, very epic. And then, obviously, we came crashing back down to earth when the public votes came in. But still, second place is remarkable. It's just an enormous turnaround. And yes, the press in the UK over the past 48 hours or so have been talking a lot more positively about the competition, and some have apologised for their negative remarks over the years as well, which is also very interesting to see. As we know, he won the jury vote and finished 5th with the public, 2nd overall, loads of 12s from the juries, and a high mark of 12 from the Maltese public. Many thanks. Not much else to say. I was just very proud, very excited, and it just feels really good that maybe now we are contenders again, and more names will want to be involved in the future. Big names, that is. Moving on. Next year, I'd like to see us send a woman. Poland next. Ochman with River. This was one of the favourites to win. Never saw it coming. Great singer. Staging very plain. Dancers dressed as Dementors. He was in the suit. That shaking camera effect with the lightning bolts. The raindrop effect too. It was all fine, but nothing incredible. It was all about his voice, which was very impressive, it must be said. 12th place, 151 points in the semi-final. The second semi-final, he went through in 6th place. 7th with the juries, 4th with the public. In the final, he was 14th with the juries. Not that great, to be honest with you. And 9th with the public. More specifically, he received a high mark of 8-10 from the Greek jury, I think that is, and 1 set of 12 from the Ukrainian public. So there we go. A nice job. Poland back in the final is a success anyway. 3 more songs to go. Let's get through this. Serbia. I like this more than I did. I'll never love it. But in terms of just the performance alone, it was one of the best of the year. Constractor. Formal, strange, quirky, lyrics on screen, clap along, incorpore sano, in a healthy body. 5th place. Brilliant result for them. 312 points. The momentum was there. People were really talking about this, and I didn't know if love was going to come in from all corners of Europe, but that is what happened. And fair play. Fair play. This was shot so well. It really was. There were no slip-ups here. Waving the towel about. Oh man. Really, really good. Washing your hands. A good idea for anybody. Let's take a look at the split results. Serbia were joint top with the public, with Sweden, and 9th with the jury, went through in 3rd overall, which is very good, as we expected, and then 4th with the public, fantastic for them, and 11th, not too bad either, with the juries. In the split results, Serbia received a high mark of 12 from 2 juries, and in the public half of the results, a whole bunch of 12s from various different nations. Really different, and stood out because of how different it was, and the way it was executed, and the engagement with the camera. Nothing else to say. Estonia, really good show closer, finishing things on an uplifting note. Stefan with Hope, I always like this sort of slight country feel. 13th place, 141 points. In the second semi-final, he was 3rd with the juries, which is very good. 7th with the public, 5th overall. In the final, he was 10th. Oh yes, with the public, apologies, and 15th with the juries, finished 13th overall. A high mark of 10 from the Serbian jury, interesting, and a high mark of 12 from the Armenian public, because of course Stefan has Armenian roots. This was really good, damaged a little bit by the backdrop and the arches facing the wrong way, but there was an energy to this, the vocals were good, and I'm glad that he finished in a really respectable position. That leaves Ukraine, and I'm going to be very brief here because this video is outrageously long. Kalish Orchestra, we all know it's Stefania. That public mark, look, I'll say it, ridiculous. ridiculous. That it was so high, and it's not that Ukraine won that I'm disappointed by, it's the margin of victory. It should have been closer. And there's been so much talk about, oh, you know, we stand in solidarity with Ukraine, and that's great. But did so many people really think this was the best song of the year? Because 400 plus points is unprecedented. We may never see it again under this current voting system. So were people voting for the right song, the song that they enjoyed the most, or were people just voting for Ukraine for the hell of it? Because they wanted Ukraine to feel good, that they could win this thing and boost the morale and all of that business. Look, I'm not going to get into it in too much detail, and I really don't want to upset or offend anybody, but I'm okay that this song won because I've always liked it. Not one of my favourites, but it was a good performance, very powerful, very emotionally charged, with the eyes on the backdrop, lovely stuff. But yes, that public mark was really, really high, and it made the rest of the show disappointing because it was over. It was over, and the odds were right. Ukraine won comfortably. We should have seen it coming. The juries weren't so keen, but still, fourth place. If we take a look, Ukraine were fourth with the juries, won the public vote, 631 points in total. In the semi-final, Ukraine were third with the juries, first with the public, first overall. Just those 12 points. Unbelievable. We've never seen it before. Would this song have received all of those 12 points last year, if it had been the Ukrainian entry last year? Probably not. Would this song have received all those 12 points if this song, or rather this contest, had taken place in January, for example? Really? Would it have done? Because I don't think it would have done. And I know I sound like a really bitter old man here. It's just the margin of victory, you know. It should have been a lot closer because there were so many great songs this year. It should have gone right down to the wire, and sadly it didn't happen. I didn't think for 1 minute necessarily that the UK would be there on the split screen with Ukraine, but there we are. And I knew Stefania had won, and it's a good song, but of course, where next? There's nothing else to say about the tune. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to briefly mention an article in a British newspaper today. Where is it? Here we are. After Eurovision glory, all eyes turn to Kyiv, playing host in 2023. Now, you can answer this question. Do you think Ukraine will host next year? Because really, a decision has to be made very soon. Of course, it's been in Kyiv twice before. And they know what they're doing. They send something original and striking every year, pretty much. Indeed. The article doesn't really say too much, apart from the fact that maybe another country could step in to host. Poland, a natural partner, it says here. Ukraine has previously shown itself more than capable of meeting the requirements. Well, only just in 2017, it has to be said. Struggling to find a venue. And the thing is, if the contest is in Ukraine next year, you better believe, I mean, look, this is not me being negative again. This is what will happen. You better believe that politics will play a huge part, because there will be so many references to the political situation over the past year. And politics, you know, shouldn't be part of Eurovision, but it always is. This video has ended up being nearly as long as my reaction video from the other day. I knew it would be. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I might put some timestamps, I don't really know. Until next time, thank you so much for the support this Eurovision season. And I'll be back with other Eurovision and maybe non-Eurovision related content very soon. There will still be videos from me moving forwards. Check out my other social media pages, links in the description below. On my Twitter page you can see the full breakdown of my predictions with the actual results. I predicted the top 4 and last place correctly for the grand final this year, which isn't bad going. Until next time, hopefully the quality wasn't too bad. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and goodbye for now. See you soon.